Hey friends, this is Marilyn from Tarot Clarity, and today, no matter what frame of mind I'm in or you're in, how could we not be happy? Marco's package arrived. Yay! It got rerouted through Bologna, and then it got sent back to Marco. Three did make it to the United States, so there were 3 people who were fortunate enough to have gotten them a week ago or a week and a half ago, but for 9 of us, they sort of went all over the place. And I'm a patient person. I'll hang in there and I'll wait. And I don't get too stressed out about stuff, you know. But that's not to say that I'm not excited to have this in my hand now, finally safe and sound. So Marco, I want to thank you very much for making sure that they got to us. And I know it was an ordeal for you as well. And I think for today, I'm releasing it first for my, here we go, I'm releasing it first for my members. Some of you are turning into the new badge, which means that you've been here now since the beginning, and it's going on 2 months. So thank you for those of you who decided to be members. And this is too good not to share with everyone, but I don't know. I kind of thought my members deserve a little. You took a little extra step in having faith in me by, joining, membership. And I think it's the least I could do for you guys. So here it is. Here it is. So we're going to flip the camera over and we will unwrap this together. So you are seeing that I'm being particularly careful pushing the buttons because I don't want to mess this one up because there's no redoing. And it appears as though the wrap that Marco uses is the Barattini deck itself. So this, I have all these wraps hanging on the walls, but I think I'm going to start framing them if I ever have a couple extra bucks to frame them, because these are just so beautiful. Now, you may notice, those of you who are Metelli fans, you may notice that there's a few differences, and we'll talk about it before we get to the deck. One thing, cards 2 through 5 have changed because I think it was either 1725 or 1750. I always thought it was 1725, but some sources say 1750, that the 4 Moors took precedence over the 2 standing popes and the one standing pope, the one standing emperor, the one sitting pope, and the one sitting emperor. And they just replaced those cards with without like religious connotations in the West. So they were like replaced with other people who came from far away, so it wouldn't piss anybody off, in the local, vicinity. But the Metelli, of course, has, what I just described before. You may notice that I think all of the cards, it looks like all of them are reversed from the Metelli. And of course, that I will be doing a video. Oh, my apologies. I will be doing a video with the Metelli side by side with this one. I do like the colors. I think the colors are just juicy. I must say, I love the colors. But I think we're going to find differences with the images because by 1803, which is when the Barattini was, Marco Benedetti, Barattini. When the Barattini was created in 1803, oh, I got number 3. How lovely. Number 3 of 50. Thank you, Marco. That's wonderful. That's very nice. By 1803, the 1650-ish or 1660-ish, or whenever the Metelli was, created, those copper plates were gone. So what they had to do was take any existing cards that remained, and there were some, and they used the images. Let's just pull this top one here. This card is the top card is the world card. So let's take a look at the world card. You see? So they took this image and they either traced it or whatever they did to get, the image of on a plate. And then, of course, all the cards were in reverse. So that's what happened here. And so we might not expect the same quality of hand, right, that we have in the Metelli. I'll show it to you right here. I mean, we have Metelli's hand here. We don't have Metelli's hand here. So there is a difference, right? And then here we have MLRI. So it's the date, I suppose. LRI. What is that? P. MLRIP. S. Interesting. We don't have that in this one. So I don't know what that means, but I will look it up, and once I figure it out, I will put it in the descriptive area below, because I don't want to stop this video, you know, and risk losing what I've already gotten. In fact, I'm not going to hit pause. I'm just going to make you endure me collecting the bubble wrap. My granddaughter will love this. She loves to pop bubble wrap. And we will look at this together. So I have it in the order in which it was received. Franciscus Barattini, SC, with homage to Joseph, or Giuseppe, or Joseph, he has here, M. Metelli. And the usual wonderful box. Let's look at the backs. Usual. This is not a Rivoltini, but we see the ribbed paper, which is authentic to how this was done. It doesn't have the Rivoltini, but that's okay, because Rivoltini, you know, I love Rivoltini. I have 2 Rivoltini decks, but I'm fine with no Rivoltini. It's okay with me. They become a little less precious, not precious because they're all precious, but, you know, with the Metelli, with the Rivoltini, I tend to take, you know, I'm delicate with it, but I know I can shuffle these with abandon and not worry about the Rivoltini coming undone or anything like that. And Marco would yell at me for saying that, because he would say that that's not the case, but I'm just being me. So here we have, see now I reversed them. I thought this was the magician and this was the fool. I flip-flopped about these two. You know, and whatever my subconscious says it is on a day I do a reading, I mean, that's the way I'm going to do it. But this is the order they're arriving in. So this one is the fool, according to this. We have the dog. But we have a crowd of people, a crowd of children. And I think I was using this as the fool because it just seems more like the fool, you know, with his silly toys, you know, and stuff like that. And I was seeing this as the El Bagato because it has the children. And there is a precedence, or not a precedence, but there is, around the same period of time, I think the Anonymous Tarot of Paris, the same time as the Metelli, not the Barattini. We have a dog in the Magician card. So, but Marco has, the way they arrived to me, this is the first card. So this would suggest that in this particular deck, this was the Fool. This is the Magician. I just don't see it that way. But that doesn't, So here we have the 4 Moors. So for the first Moor in this order, right? So I can't forget the order now, because it's like, well, I do have it on the sheet of the wrapping sheet. So I do have that. But we have a standing individual with a sword. Oh, they all have swords. Are these 2 women? They're wearing earrings, but this one looks like a woman too. Okay, so let me look at this. So we have this one. I'm going to have to refer to the sheet because they're so subtle. So we have the yellow belly We got a yellow belly. Is that a man? That doesn't, if it's a woman, she's not too pretty. She's kind of like, a masculine guy. And you know what? It's just like, I don't think that's a girly outfit or anything. So here we have a feminine form, another feminine form. So 3 and 4 are the feminine. Well, this looks feminine too. So I'm going to get myself in trouble talking about feminine. So I don't know. I'm going to have to remember the pot belly is number 2. This one was number 3. Oh, wait. I'm already confused. I've already messed it up. But these look like feminine forms. These 3 look like feminine forms, the 4 Moors. And this one looks like a fella. So I'm glad he sent the wrapping because I've already confused them. Okay, here we go with Cupid, or excuse me, the Lover. And this deck was numbered, so you have to bear that in mind. The Metelli was not numbered because either that because due to regional play, people didn't have to, were able to play according to their own region's order. Because regions might have, chosen different orders to have the cards in, different value, So, for example, for example, I don't know what order this is in. We'll have to see it together. But, sometimes maybe what would normally be like a 7, like the Chariot may, be worth more than, say, Judgment, and I'm just making this up, or 7, the Chariot would be worth more than like Temperance at 14, right? But in some decks, they might have a different order, and so it kind of screws things up. So here we have the Lover, or the Lovers, or Cupid, just love, amour, love. And it's number 5. And then we have, remember, Renaissance and medieval art has some nudity. If you're offended by nudity, then a tarot channel isn't for you because you're going to see some nudity. But in the context of art, we're going to have some nudity. And this is the first time I'm looking at these cards with you, so we're going to see the nudity together. If it offends you, there's other channels you can look at. So see, we have Temperance here. So we have Temperance here as 7. So you see what I'm saying? So it's convenient when there aren't numbers on a card because that would mean that regional areas could play how they saw fit. But these particular cards of the Barattini have numbers, so that the order is determined. Now, some people could play the deck and just honor their own orders, which is probably what happened. I know what happens at the end with the World and the Judgment card. I know what happens at the end here, so we'll see. But anyway, here's Justice, Fortitude, we have the Wheel of Fortune. Now the money or the advantage is facing this way rather than this way at the Metelli. As is the Hermit walking in one. Now the Hermit is walking in a different direction. Yeah, it has to be. And we have the Hanged Man, or the, I guess maybe the Execution, or whatever this is representing. But traditionally, Metelli created it to represent the card that was the Hanged Man. So maybe it's the Executioner. It looks like a Redrum. So 13 is 13. There are some decks where it's numbered, where it's not numbered, it doesn't have the name. The Devil is 14 rather than 15. And we have the Lightning Bolt, or the Thunder Strike, or the Lightning Strike. Being struck down by whatever's up in that diagonal corner if you have, a multi-row. the star card, the star card going in this direction. Now the star is 16 rather than 17, so they're off a little bit. Here's the moon, not numbered. Interesting. I love the colors. I love, 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 love the colors. And I may be using this sometimes to preserve my metalli a little bit. I've been giving my metalli quite a workout. And also it's nice to have a backup so that if I need quint cards, I'll have a quint deck for both of them, and I'm delighted to have both of them. So here we have the sun. As the penultimate card, we have the world, and I've discussed this many times. And then the final card is the judgment card. And for those of you who may have missed my few dozen reasons for why the world would, I feel, come before the judgment card, is because the world card is what we achieve on earth, right? It's one of the celestial cards, beginning with the thunderstrike or the lightning bolt, right? That's the first thing coming from heaven. Then we have the star. Then we have the moon. Then we have the sun. Of course we'd have the world, because this is what we accomplish on earth. And then judgment is what happens to us after we pass on. So it makes total sense to me, and this is the reason why I like this order. I prefer this order. So those are the Triumph cards. So the order that they were printed and presented to me, we have the King of Cups, the Queen, the Knight, the Page, and then, now remember, the metalli was a tarocchini or a tarocchini, right? So it was an abbreviated gameplay, missing cards 2 through 5. So Marco accommodated us by creating cards 2 through 5 for us. So remember, this deck would have been a tarocchini or a tarocchini also. So I'm pretty sure, I have faith in Marco that he would have created this as a extended deck. Yeah, I think so. Because I can feel that we already have a handful of cards. So we have 7, 6, 5. Yeah. 4, 3, 2, 1. So thank you, Marco. Thank you, Marco, for doing that. Metrope. Or I don't know if that's, maybe those aren't letters. I'm not sure. VC. Next comes the suit of swords with the king. Queen. Knight. Page. So as pointed out, we don't have the delicacy of line of the metalli. It's just because it's a copy, right? It's a copy of the plates. The plates were used as the source, and they were probably traced over. They just didn't have the metalli touch. However, that's not to say that these aren't gorgeous decks. And if this was created by Barattini and not metalli, and it came down to us in this way, we'd still be oohing and ahhing over it because it's gorgeous. And of course, it's part of tarot history. And you know I'm going to be doing a side-by-side with the metalli, as I mentioned. I will say one thing about this. I really do like the color. I like the purples a lot. And Marco, thank you for doing inventing cards 2 through 5 so we could use this. And then we have the King of Batons, the Queen, Knight, Valet. It makes me wonder if maybe Vachetta with his deck didn't, wasn't inspired by the Metelli, because we have some like bows and stuff like that in the Vachetta. I don't know if I've ever done a side-by-side with the Metelli and the Vachetta. I think I have. But both being Italian, I could understand how the Metelli would have definitely influenced other Italian card makers, because it was gorgeous. And I can understand why Barattini would like to keep it going, because it would be a shame to have lost this to history. Now, as it turns out, we have some copies of the Metelli. But had we not, what a wonderful thing this is to have had. So we have little pictures in each of these that are very clear. So we have someone reaching for a bust of a statue of someone, a painter, a violinist, an artist, a hunter, a ballerina, a dancer, maybe another hunter, I'm not sure. Someone with a flag, waving a flag, or a banner, a duel, somebody who's an acrobat on a horse. Cool. I've never noticed those details on the Metelli, to be honest. It could just be, well, when I do the side-by-side, I'll have to take note when we do the coins. And then we have different faces or different portraits. With different names. And we have caricatures of silly people. I'd be interested to see who Marco put on the 532 cards. So we have the storks. And this is where Marco put his name, his stamp. Lovely. So Marco, thank you for sending this and everything you had to go through to get it to us. I can't tell you how much we appreciate it. It's a beautiful deck, as standard with Marco's decks. I'm going to give you guys a shuffle to show how nicely it shuffles. Beautiful. I mean, it's stiff because it's a brand new deck, but... And I'm doing it with the disadvantage of having a camera and a tripod right in front of me, so I can't even see what I'm doing. I can only see what I'm doing through the lens. So, it would be a much better shuffle if I was doing it, properly, that I can see what I was doing. But this is nice. This is a nice shuffle. And we'll do it this way. Oh, yeah. And let's do this. Just listen to the shuffle. And again, the paper at the back is different. Let's see. Now the back seems to have a horizontal, unless I'm mistaken. It looks like more of a horizontal ribbing, maybe as a reinforcement. And the front, oh no, this looks like it's horizontal. So they're both horizontal. That's what it looks like. I thought it was vertical, but it's hard for me to tell. I don't want to speak out of line, but I'm sure it's authentic, however it appears. However it is, I know it's real. It's authentic. Beautiful. But it does appear to have qualities of both horizontal and vertical, so I'm not sure what I'm seeing. At any rate, I hope you love it, because I do, and thank you very much for being enthusiastic about this wonderful deck. Until next time, friends, peace, stay well, be brave, and be kind.